serviceable, right? Yeah.
You could have gotten that probably, you know, just with Iris, but like, yeah, I think you need to have, like, obviously the healing trait from Prophet. He's close to Finn there, but you need to see that damage come out. That's where I think you can get the biggest win of having him on the hero.
I did see him win a 1v1 against Striker at one point. Again, not that that really counts so much. Although people might disagree if they're big CXX fans. SEOUL will start on defense here, and again, don't expect to see too much variation in these compositions.
Well, they're going to play the Tracer here, it looks like, on D, which is a little bit of a change-up, right?
Stalk had a pretty weak map 1.
Yep.
I wonder what the strategy is here for this Tracer. You can't get nearly as much value out of Kitsune Rush here with Tracer, I should expect.
No, but I think, like, maybe you can actually put some more pressure on the backline, consistent pressure with Smurf, right? Tracer can access the backline way easier than a Reaper can, especially even with the run back here. It's actually pretty long, so you can kind of keep taking these fights consistently with the Tracer.
We'll be keeping an eye on Stalker here, see what he can get done. Pretty scary guy up against Kiriko as Tracer. She can knock you out pretty fast. Smurf over the top here. SEOUL trying to leapfrog San Francisco to some degree, but Coluge slashing Stalker. No chance to blink away. What a way to assert yourself coming off the bench.
And I guess maybe he doesn't have recall available at that time, or maybe doesn't expect them to push on in, thinks he can actually just play around the corner and get some healing, but Coluge runs right on top of him, takes him out instantly, and that's going to be 2 ticks, and it looks like they're just trying to hunt down some kills.
SEOUL got cute, tried to outmaneuver the shock there, but they took the pretty direct approach to the point there. Prophet already used his Swift Step, and Smurf has seen better days. It's a trait for the Sojourns. Nice work by Fitz to get involved here, but it may be a little bit too little, too late in the day on this point defense. Prophet's gone for the fight, but Stalker comes out of nowhere. Slaps him upside the head. Numbers still favour the shock though, and they've almost got this cap. It's already Vindaim, the lifeline for SEOUL, and eventually that too must succumb.
Yeah, and they already had 2 ticks, right? So that last one was going to happen pretty fast. As Fitz, he'll have a close spawn, he'll end up dropping. As see Smurf, I think he's just trying to, like, yeah, he's trying to bait a leap there out of Coluge, and then he would have just jumped around the corner and got out of harm's way. So good first point attack though for the shock. See where they actually decide to, like, kind of push around here is they have a big advantage in terms of sound barrier and Kitsune Rush here. They might be able to sort of snowball this a little bit if they realize they have this ultimate advantage.
Stalker realizing this Tracer just isn't it. Back over to the replay, he was 6 and 10 in the last map.
A lot of evidence over the last few days that the Tracer's not it.
Okay, I don't need a PI to figure that out at this point. Fitz, safe spot for now until Coluge comes to try and challenge his perch position. Kitsune Rush from the higher ground here, and Fitz trying to make the most of it. But all of the shock have absconded back around the corner.
And this is so good for the shock. You don't need to answer that with your own sound barrier. You don't need to answer with your own rush. You can actually just circumvent it and go right around.
Okay, overclock from Fitz is able to catch Prophet just as the shock try and mount an assault. San Francisco have to double back now and focus on moving up the card. Note that Striker's playing from the high ground here. Fitz seems to have an awareness of that Reaper being somewhat close.
Yeah, and there goes sound barrier as well from the shock. So sound barrier used, quick fight. They're just gonna have to hightail it out. So we'll see how they try and approach this again. Try and take this like from the low ground. You try and take that wraparound all the way on the left side and try and mash that high ground. Looks like they're gonna kind of just attack this straight up the middle.
Yeah, here we go. Kitsune Rush for the high ground here. Finn maybe setting it up for Proper. It's unclear. Fitz able to open up the account yet again for the Dynasty. And Smurf's Primal deals with Proper again. Once again, the shock Sojourn being cut out of the fight very early on. Now the Dynasty are free to clean up here. Smurf a little bit concerned about the Reaper presence, but Suzu will set him straight. And off goes Striker.
Yeah, since they switched over to this Reaper, it's been way easier for them to play this composition. As they push up, they get aggressive. So pretty good hold so far, right? You've got like a minute 40 off the clock, minute 30 off the clock. This will be probably their toughest test as you're going up against, you know, Death Blossom, Overclock, and Primal. Prophet, could end up, right, with the amount of healing and damage Kiriko pulls out, could end up getting like a rush if this fight goes an extended period of time.
Coluge goes upstairs, rebuffed instantly. A little bit of extra car process, it's inching forward again. Fitz fighting Striker. What a key pick. And instantly the shock capitulate.
If you can't access that high ground as the Winston, you kind of get stuck in that position Coluge is in. Like, that is the absolute worst position to be in. You've used Elite, you've already used Bubble. There's a natural high ground for the defenders. I mean, look at this angle. that Fitz gets to shoot down. I mean, it is just such a large advantage for the Dynasty at this part of the map.
Once again, Coluge trying to subvert his build and be sneaky on the way in. Primal Rage, though, is going to render that pointless. He's already taken about 600 damage.
It's almost worth it just to get under the underpass.
Overclock for Prophet, but can he get through? No, he's got a Winston in his face. Kiriko rush here, comes in, and Stalker finds 3. Make it 4.
That is everybody down there for the shock as we're now down to just a little bit over 2 minutes. Take a look at this from Stalker's POV. So Tuna rush there, then the Death Blossom right down the street.
So what do you need a bulldozer? You just built the road.
Yeah, it fits with this overclock again. Now you can get back to this high ground if you're the SEOUL Dynasty. And this is what's been so difficult for the shock to crack.
Proper rather, 1 final blow, 4 deaths. Again, basically transparent. So far in Paraíso, Fitz has been crucial, right? Always finding that first pick, quite often actually getting Striker out of the picture early. He's going to try and wrap around and do the same thing again. Striker playing close to the card here. Death Blossom available. It's time to let it rip. And Stalker falls. Soundbarrier is going to be in play for the Dynasty, but they lack the key damage of that Reaper. And that's really punishing. Vindaim astutely saving that sound barrier, but losing a player so early is going to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you end up using the sound barrier for the SEOUL Dynasty here, and it doesn't actually connect on to everybody. He tries to like push up a little bit because you have Stalker and Smurf so far around the corner, and it doesn't connect with Fitz. It's just a little bit of a desperation one there, but I actually don't entirely hate it, if I'm honest, because you have an opportunity there, if that beat is good, to potentially stop the shock from even capping that point.
Full charge again from Prophet here. Sightlines aren't great from his position, but it's more for safety's sake at this stage. Primal Rage from Smurf, those have been absolutely deadly. Looking to make another one happen here. Here's the dive. Pretty patient play. Fitz and Prophet both went quite low. SEOUL maybe needing to regroup on this high ground. Smurf, though, thinks otherwise. Primal Rage here, but a disengage. What are SEOUL waiting on?
I think they actually thought there was going to be some type of response, maybe in terms of support ults, but it's going to be the Kitsune rush here from SEOUL Dynasty. They force everybody from the shock into this close quarter area against the Reaper and the Winston. Not the right idea.
SEOUL definitely a little bit unsure of what San Francisco's bringing. I'm curious about what their ult tracking says coming into that fight. San Francisco obviously have very little to use there. Now to start to build up some of those. Coluge obviously having used his ult just now.
Yeah, and maybe if you're the shock, right, or if you're the SEOUL Dynasty, there's really not a huge worry about like the Kitsune rush, because like, what, you drop it on the payload, there's so much high ground and like cover here around the map to just disengage. You can then just kind of come back with a sound barrier for sound barrier counter and be a pretty even footing.
Overclock for Proper, he's finding the connections with the railguns. None of them in lethal quite yet, but Violet makes sure the kill on Fitz is secured. Stalker trying to dance on the low ground, but Proper puts that one to a quick end. Vindaim now wants to try and stall if he possibly can, but Striker nips that one in the bud as well. 27 seconds left of the round here. SEOUL have sound barrier coming back in.
Yeah, and look at where Smurf is. It looks like he's kind of like just stuck behind enemy lines, and they just push right onto the point. They lose Prophet.
That's most of their healing. Vindaim now needs to maybe play around a barrier here and go for a beat. He lets it go. Stalker benefits from it, but Proper and Striker just bring him down. And here's the real breakdance master. Vindaim removes, and the shock finish with time to spare.
And Prophet is on that deep flank with Smurf. They're so far behind enemy lines. And he's used the teleport to get there. They don't have it to get out. So you lose Prophet. And I tell you what, it would have been good if you're the SEOUL Dynasty if you force the Kitsune rush like in that area where you had that natural high ground. But once they don't have to use it and they've already made it around the corner, the home stretch, I mean, that is a perfect, just kind of straight, narrow pathway to drop that big Kiriko ult.
Stalker having a much better round. Getting to those 8 final blows, 6 deaths. Pretty quiet to start with, but again, that second phase looked pretty good for him.
Yeah.
Probably frustrating for SEOUL though, despite them starting pretty well in that middle part of the map. They've allowed the shock to complete. Now that's a feat they have to themselves match.
It's still pretty decent defense there from SEOUL Dynasty. Like, they gave up point A really fast. They tried to tracer look at the start. It wasn't great. They make a switch over to the Reaper, and it really started to pay off. Where, you know, the shock had about 5 minutes here to cap that second checkpoint, and they dwindled it down to, you know, almost under a minute there.
Fitz is accounting for more than a third of his team's damage, which is a little abnormal even for Sojourn players. I mean, with these changes to Soul, like, it doesn't seem like their DPS line is suffering too much.
No, and I think Reaper, there are so many DPS players in the league who can play Reaper at a, high to serviceable level. You swear you may have felt like, hey, we don't need to spend profit, in his abilities on Reaper. We can try and put him on Kiriko where he can be more game-changing, impactful, and you're not going to lose that much.
Didn't talk about it at the start of this, but this is one of Soul's best maps. Undefeated on Paraiso. 5-0. They definitely don't want to leave a blemish in the other column here. So they approach, okay, so pretty uneventful beginning. San Francisco actually opt to give a lot of that high ground up, and they want to play for like a counter dive here on the point. Look how they split up.
Well, this is a sick angle for Proper to take on the high ground, right? Fitz has to swing this really wide to get an angle to try and make a play.
San Francisco hardly taking any damage. Smurf getting an absolute beating. He has to abscond pretty quickly.
Stalker is basically dead.
Still the threat of Fitz though, right? He's able to charge up and find a random pick from the high ground, and no one's really directly challenging, right? San Francisco don't have the ability to just go up there and force him away yet.
He's got to swing this corner blindly, and you don't have a great idea of where Proper is.
Proper has no charge though, so had to build that up pretty quickly. Striker though, he gets Fitz. Having to swing out into an unknown part of the map. He's brought down, and now they're lining up quite nicely. Proper threads the needle there. Now the Dynasty a little bit scared. They're very low on personnel, and Smurf is leading out in front of him.
Yeah, Vindaim tries to make a play, and I feel like Proper a little bit angry, right? Finds himself in the loser bracket. He knows how good he's played all season long. Like, to see it not result in great team success, I think you'd be leaving here pretty unhappy, where I feel like he is staking it out on some of these teams. He's been playing a fantastic Sojourn. Look at this.
Defensive Kitsune rush here. The Shock actually opt to drop off the high ground. Sound barrier coming out from both sides here. Smurf has lost most of it by now, but he's in that primal rage mode, and the Shock are backing up. They see Prophet use his own rush. Prophet trying to keep him at arm's length here, but guess who's in his face? Smurf in front. Prophet from the backside lands a kunai. Now we're in a 5 versus 3. Stalker quickly heading upstairs to try and get this down. Losing Smurf, removing a little bit of flexibility, but the cap is underway. Striker's gone down. Violet hardly a threat here from that pocket. Eventually brought down by the enemy Lucio.
Yeah, and there's no way you fight that. You just have Violet and Finn alive. It's interesting, like, why take the fight early there if you're the Shock? You probably actually are in the best case scenario to do so, because if you allow and play that kind of deep position they did, I mean, there's such a better use at a rush, right? To come around the corner, you use the rush, like, what are you going to benefit from it? If you're the Shock, just try and catch them off guard, use it there. It would have looked great if they ended up winning that, right? You would have gotten both of the other team's support ults out right as it showed. It would have definitely been awesome to see if you're a Shock fan, but look at this. I mean, a little bit aggressive there, and Violet gets taken out.
Crucial first kill for Fitz. The fight's not done though. San Francisco happen to throw themselves at this, but now without Proper, their odds of really drawing any blood here rapidly dwindling. And they're just here to stall for now.
Well, think about how the Shock were able to hold, get held by that high ground that Fitz was on. Now you see Fitz is actually able to get up right on top of that high ground, maybe deny it for a little bit. You see him Stalker through the X-ray. He's kind of like on that corner where that staircase is, if you wanted to come up. And then you also have Fitz able to look down that long corridor where you see everybody on the Shock has to come out there, just kind of like scare them off, bully them off of that high ground.
Stalker lying in wait here. His job, obviously, probably to make sure Coluge isn't able to regain that high ground for the defenders as easily. Fitz, here it is, Fitz! It's turning up! Finn is taken down again at the train, though. Proper's able to find him across the map. Stalker, considering the death loss from here with a sound barrier, though, may not be necessary. Striker's gone down. Proper may still be a factor, and he is. Smurf is brought low. Now Stalker may need to commit here to make sure that his team gets out of this in one piece. Goes for the spin. Violet's there. Proper shuts him down, though.
Yeah, Proper with yet another kill here as the payload is stopped moving for a quick second. He's actually just gonna like find a little bit of a different angle here. That's gonna be the Shock holding on. And what they're trying to do is like have Stalker in that low position, right? And when you see this bridge, if Smurf would have been able to jump up, get on top of the bridge, knock those players low, you would have had that death blossom from behind. but actually Fitz ends up finding a kill right away, so you don't even need to invest that. Look at this, a rush right on through.
On the low ground, daring the shock to come and challenge this. San Francisco are going to use a Kitsune Rush to their own now. Probably force the double back, give that protection Zuzi to his tank. And now Striker goes in a Wraith Walk. It might be time to go though. Sound barrier now for San Francisco, and Stalker's out of the picture. It's just a matter of controlling Smurf's impact. And San Francisco can complete a hold for now. 90 seconds left in the round for Soul. They're being bundled now into the hallway. This is getting scarier and scarier for them. Fitz able to find Violet there, at least with the disruptor shot. He's trying to move this on his own. He's going to have to deal with Proper though, and he thinks better of taking the fight.
Yeah, there's no way. You have to back up. You've lost your tank. No way to kind of hold ground on the point. So a minute, 10 seconds. It's looking pretty dire on the SEOUL Dynasty side of things. I mean, you're not close to any of these ultimates. Maybe Vindaim with like a last second beat here, but you're gonna have to rely on Fitz being able to find a pick at range.
Proper has come alive in the last couple of team fights, Matt, adding 6 final blows to his total. Very, very important that the shock can keep him in a position to stay fighting fit. Striker looks to try and take the high ground, and this is a helipad, ladies and gentlemen. Vindaim brought down, and that's another fight well and truly over already.
And it's
Yep. Gotta limber up, ladies and gentlemen.
You done pissed him off. As it's just really, I mean, it's terrible for SEOUL Dynasty. You're not actually able to kind of get a back and forth fight there at the start, or maybe you can build up some ults.
Proper's going for it here. Look at the shock actually forcing around this corner. Proper eventually realizes maybe exposing himself a little too much there. Vindaim, no, not ready for that. Proper now is here to clean up. 3 players left for the SEOUL Dynasty, and their hopes of getting a map completion rapidly dwindling. Smurf is too far away from Primal Rage to be a factor. Prophet doesn't even bother. San Francisco take Paraíso.
Perfectly played by the San Francisco shock there. The rotation of ultimates, you know, Proper being able to save fights, constantly able to get these pickoffs. And SEOUL, I mean, they just did not look organized trying to make that attack happen on that high ground.